All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and I want to talk today a little bit about an interesting topic: the specialist fighter. I used to hate specialist fighters back in the day. When I was first getting into sport, I thought it was all about the future of the sport, was the well-rounded fighters, and the specialists are already going away of the dodo, and I hated specialists. I thought they were boring, they were one-dimensional. And now I actually really appreciate a specialist fighter, especially a good one that can still find ways to make things work. They make fights interesting. You get two well-rounded fighters together, and a lot of times they just they're a little kind of good at everything, but not great at anything. Whereas you get a specialist that is great at one thing and just good enough to neutralize everything else in an opponent's game. And yeah, they're special. So what exactly makes a specialist fighter? Well, here's my definition. A fighter who excels in and focuses on one aspect or area or style of MMA, sometimes to the detriment of other skills or areas. Think I did okay with that. So basically, it's it's a specialist. A specialist. They're focused on a particular skill set, and sometimes to the detriment of others, like a striker who avoids the ground game at almost all costs. So does everything to avoid going to the ground or getting back up if they have to go to the ground. Or a submission-heavy grappler that doesn't want to strike, so is going to constantly be looking for the takedown. Or a judoka who's constantly looking to get into the clinch so they can trip you or throw you to the ground. Or a Muay Thai fighter who focuses a lot on low kicks and then working into the clinch so that they can work the clinch game with the elbows and the knees. So it's a fighter that's focused on a particular aspect of the game. Okay, so now we move on to, what makes a specialist interesting still in 2020, where most fighters are coming off more and more well-rounded. What makes a specialist interesting is really it comes down to all the questions they force you to ask about them. How good are they really? Are they actually a good fighter, or are they only good at their one aspect? How long can they go as specialists? How long of a career can they have? Can they last a long time, or are they going to get exposed very quickly and end up having a short career? How high can they go? Is their skill set that good in their division that they can take it to the highest of heights? How high can they go remaining a specialist? And then how do they match up with the all-rounders? How do they do? Is their special what do you want to call it? Is their special skill set good enough to match up with fighters that are good in everything? Is their being great at one aspect, their specialty? That's the word I was looking for. Is their specialty good enough that they can survive against guys who are good at everything while they're great at just the one thing? And then how do they match up against other specialists? To me, that's the most interesting one. So you got a counter-striking specialist who's up against another counter-striking specialist. That sometimes makes the most boring fights. A striker versus a grappler. That's the most classic one in mixed martial arts, and they're still fun to watch today. A Muay Thai fighter versus a boxer. One Championship does this a lot with Filipino fighters and the Thai fighters, boxing versus Muay Thai. Wrestling versus BJJ. How do specialists match up against another kind of specialist? Those to me often make for the most interesting fights involving specialists. So yeah, that's what makes a specialist so interesting. They're asking all these questions of, how good are they? How far can they go? Stuff like that. And that's what makes them interesting. So let me list a couple of examples of female fighters who were specialists. So first up, Tatianna Suarez, by far a wrestling specialist. She has excellent takedowns ability, excellent chain wrestling ability, and she has added ground and pound and submissions to her game, but for the most part, she is still a pure wrestler. Her striking is getting a little better, but it's very basic and kind of predictable. She's mostly just striking to get within range for a takedown. Next example, Ayaka Miura. Now, Ayaka Miura fights in one championship. She's a judoka, and she is such a specialist. She has a specific go-to. She's going to try to throw you and land in a scarf hold and work scarf hold style submissions, arm triangle, straight arm bar, Americana. She is like as pure a specialist as it gets because she has pretty much a single go-to move, and it's a matter of if you can beat it or not. If you can stop her from getting to that, you can beat her. But for the most part, most fighters have been unable to do it. Next up, Valentina Shevchenko. Now, this one's going to have people coming out of the woodwork. Oh, Valentina has a well-rounded game. She can win in all aspects of the game. Yes, but she is still a specialist. She has well-rounded her game, but she is a specialist because she chooses to focus to fight one style above all others. She is a counter striker. More specifically, she is a highly risk-averse counter striker. If she doesn't have to move outside of her comfort zone, which is that counter striking, she's not going to. You pretty much have to force her out of that comfort zone. I mean, even if a fighter chooses not to be aggressive at all against her, even then she rarely chooses to go outside that comfort zone. The only time she goes truly outside of that zone is if she is against an opponent that she is truly outmatches, like Priscilla Cachoeira. That fight was an exception to the rule of how Valentina Shevchenko fights. So Valentina is very much a specialist. And then finally, Ilima-lei McFarland. Now, she has worked on rounding out her game. Her striking has improved some over the years, but for the most part, she is a BJJ specialist. She's a submission grappler. Her takedowns aren't that great because she's not a wrestler. Her striking's not that great. It's good enough. It works. But she is a submission whiz. She's very good on the ground. And that's what makes her a specialist. So anyway, that's what I think a specialist is, what makes them interesting, and I gave you some examples. So let me know your thoughts on specialist fighters in the comments down below. Of course, likes are always appreciated. And what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Now, the fastest growing women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. And we'll see you next time.